Hello, everybody. Today's November 19th, 2017, and the Toronto Raptors just played the Washington Wizards and got a nice win. Score 100-91. This is the Raptors Digest Reaction Pod. I'm Ben Rogers, and with us today is fellow Raptors analysis, Ryker Richard.
Hello, hello.
Ryker, so that was a great win here today.
Yeah. The gentleman came out to play. Of course, we we had to win this game. Really, there was no other option. We got embarrassed the last time we played against the Wizards. So
very true, especially without John Wall on both occasions.
That's the one thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about in watching this game, despite all the positive takeaways, which we'll talk about obviously. But I think with Tim Frazier as the starting point guard, they should have abused the Wizards a little bit more than they did. But ultimately, a win's a win. And we'll get into that a little bit.
Very true. And the Wizards are a strong team with Wall and without Wall anyways. But the first thing we'll get into is DeMar DeRozan. He had a big game today, 33 points, shooting 57% from the field, 2 threes. So what were your thoughts on DeMar's game, Riker?
I'll start with the finessed play. There was one play in particular that I want to see way more of. Strong curl to the basket, double clutch in the air over Marcin Gortat and just floated the ball in. Beautiful to watch. And he did that about 3 times. So one specific play, it was with contact over Marcin Gortat, but it was a little dribble off the left hand and then float in with the right hand. And it's just his mid-range game is just so good. I'd like to see him. Well, I mean, he does do that. That's where he lives, is the mid-range. Yeah. And, of course, defense, the defense is aware of that, so they try to take it away as much as possible. But I think DeMar is becoming such a polished scorer, which is impressive given he's been in the league for a while, and each year he improves. So,
yeah, that's the key thing. He just seems to improve every year. Like, if you watched him even 2 years ago, his handle wasn't nearly as tight, anything like that. Now he's just making dribble moves in traffic, and, yeah, it's a great thing to watch DeMar's progression as a player.
Who's the leader then in this game in particular, not the season in general? Who is the leader of this game? Would you say DeMar or Lowry?
I think DeMar's taken over the top dog mantle this season so far, and I think that holds true for tonight's game. He kind of rallied us when we'd need a bucket, and yeah, it's just DeMar's been awesome this year. But do you know who has also been awesome?
Who's that? And
kind of hated on Raptors Twitter, as I've seen, Fred VanVleet.
Oh no, is he hated?
yeah. It's kind of out of nowhere. I think he's been playing pretty well.
Do people just do they roast him about looking like Drake? We don't need 2 Drakes in Canada.
I haven't seen that. That's true. I think Drizzy Drake will have to take that up with him. But most people are shouting him out because of his size, small stature, but saying that he can't play defense. But I see him bully people left and right, but Fred VanVleet tonight with that last shot, that dagger, the open 3.
After missing every 3-point attempt to that point. And you know what? That's what it takes. It's the confidence to continue to shoot and expecting the ball to go in even when it's not.
That's the key. The confidence with Fred VanVleet. Like, I saw him play. He had a couple of possessions there, I think at the end of the third, maybe early fourth, where he had 2 consecutive turnovers. And then, most players, as anyone who's played basketball, after you screw up a couple of possessions in a row, you're kind of tentative. But he went right back at it, got a finish in the lane, made a couple nice passes following. And it's just great to see his confidence, especially from an undrafted second-year player. He's been a very good surprise this season, especially with DeLon Wright out. Very valuable.
Yeah. Now, you like Lowry, right?
I very much like Lowry.
Would you be confident enough to say that VanVleet is a budding Lowry 2.0?
That's what people are saying.
I think their gameplay is very similar. They attack the basket, which is like good for their size, given they use, I guess, their low center of gravity to their advantage, but they bully their way down low, and then they for most of the time make smart passes out, good driving kicks, and they're both confident to shoot the 3. So I like what I'm seeing from VanVleet, and I hope I hope he keeps playing well.
I'm very high on VanVleet, but I don't know if he'll ever be a all-star caliber player like Lowry, but I don't know, the comparisons to Jameer Nelson have been out there. I don't know. It's great to hear.
Jameer, the timeless chubby hero.
He was an all-star with Dwight Howard back in his day.
No. Oh, man.
Yeah. People forget about Jameer Nelson, man. He was a good player. And speaking of Jameer Nelson, he was a sharpshooter. We have a sharpshooter of our own on our team today, CJ Miles, who was kind of had he had 12 points, hit I believe 3 threes it was. Just make sure. But it seemed like he was a bit off with the shot, but he hit him when it counted.
Yep, I said to you before this started, we had the Raptors were 7 for 33 shooting from the 3-point land. And I say, live by the 3, die by the 3. And I'm not sure. We'll have an analysis, a podcast about, do the Raptors need to be shooting as many threes as they do?
Yeah. Culture reset, my man.
Right. But he took this shot, contested in the corner.
Yep.
I think he was 1 for 5 at this point. 3-point and 1, and it really rallied the team. So it's the same thing with VanVleet. These guys just love to shoot. They don't care if they miss all their shots. And you know what? As long as the outcome is a win, I would rather them take these big game shots.
Yep.
And do exactly that. And I think he's very important for the team. I mean, he's made a lot of buckets that we need, and that's what we wanted from T. Ross that he never delivered.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing, right? So you look at guys that we've had in the past, our marksmen, Patterson, Damari Carroll, Terrence Ross. When they'd miss a couple shots, they'd often continue to shoot, but there'd be zero confidence when the ball left their hands. Yeah. When you watch CJ Miles or any of these guys shoot, even OG Anunoby, these guys coming in, when they're shooting, they could be 0 for 20 and they let it fly, and it just you can see that they believe it's going in, and oftentimes it does. They don't get in too big of any funks, really.
Yeah, and now just last thing before we move to the next point. I mean, I'm pretty sure that CJ Miles on this season is shooting over 50% from 3. So
yeah, that's crazy.
I'm sure the coaching staff is happy when he shoots. You know?
Well, yeah, if we're going to be hoisting up a lot of threes, that's the guy we want on the team.
That's true.
So, yeah. And what were your thoughts on Kyle Lowry this game? He only had 10 points, I believe. 10 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds.
He led the team like he needed to. I think he's the rock for the team, for sure. And you mentioned that DeRozan is now, kind of taking the mantle for that leadership position, or maybe not the leadership position, but kind of the consistency in scoring. But I think that Lowry is forever going to be the king or the champion of the team of just playing the right way, fundamentally solid in all areas. And he did the same thing again tonight. So
yeah, the box score doesn't really show how Lowry's impact on the game he had tonight. But so with the Raptors, what were your thoughts on the Wizards? Bradley Beal had a really hot start and then kind of got cooled off the second half.
The defense, and I'm a defensive guy. There's nothing better. They had late game. I think they had 3 amazing defensive stops in a row, and
the defense was locked down the fourth quarter.
Oh my God, they were playing on a string. If you can remember back when coaches used to say, everybody's on a string. But what are your thoughts on Bradley Beal? You safe to say you're not a fan of this guy.
Yeah, well, not because of his play. Bradley Beal. Ever since the 2015 playoff loss, I've not him mouthing off to DeMar. I've never been a fan of Bradley Beal whatsoever. But he is a really good player, and it seems like whenever he gets an open look, he drills it. So, I don't know. As Leo Routen's mentioned in the broadcast, our bigs can't sag off players like Bradley Beal as they come around screens. So, he got a couple open looks early and just kind of kept them in the game of sorts.
Yeah. Now, Siakam stepped up on Bradley Beal and shut him down a couple times in the second half as well. I think Siakam is maybe not underrated. Maybe he's perfectly rated, but he is an extremely good perimeter defender as well as the low post defender, which is crazy given he's a tall, lanky guy.
Well, last year we kind of exclusively saw him at the 4 position, right? Well, where we didn't have, our 4 was kind of run by Jared Sullinger and Patrick Patterson for most of the year, early in the year. So this year we've been seeing Siakam play a lot of the 3, and he almost looks better at the 3, the small forward position. He's so mobile, right?
Yeah, he just needs to work on 3-point shooting, but I think everything else, his motor is crazy. That block on Mike Scott that he threw it against the backboard, I literally screamed.
Ridiculous.
I screamed. I was like,
I love that.
But he just has an engine. He's like Kenneth Faried before Kenneth Faried washed up.
Yeah, true. And on Siakam's three, you mentioned it. He was really. He became lights out from three kind of in the D-League last year for playing for the 905. And you've seen it in spurts this season, but that'll get more and more consistent as he gets more and more reps up, gets more and more playing time, gets more and more comfortable playing. But another thing about the Wizards, more and more and more. But one more gripe I have about the Wizards. What is Kelly Oubre's hair?
Yeah.
What is that? Does he dye it? Is that a natural thing?
Do you remember when, what's his name? I think it was Drew Gooden III. He had the patch, and it was he shaved his entire head, waxed his entire head, except one patch in the back. This is like Kelly Oubre's hair, just a little patch of orange in the back, but it could be a birthmark. It'd be hilarious if he dyed it. Like he's like LaMelo Ball, but next level.
Yeah, maybe it was like a prior haircut that just grew out really bad. Maybe it's a Dennis Schroeder thing. I don't know if it's a blonde streak. So that's just one gripe I have about the Wizards. The Kelly Oubre's hair. So now on to the next segment.
We need a cultural reset.
This segment's called Culture Reset. So at the end of the playoffs last season, as most of the listeners out here probably know, Masai Ujiri called for a culture reset for the team. So post games, we're gonna see how the culture reset is doing, and if the team looked reset of sorts during the game. So do you think that we didn't play too much iso ball and whatnot during this game?
You know what, I was going to take this more as banter, but to be totally honest, I think that the Raptors have taken strides this season in like the limited games that we can analyze. They've already taken strides. I think the effort off the bench is way better than it's been in the past.
Yeah. It's not a two-man team anymore.
No, exactly. And even when DeMar goes ISO, he's still more comfortable passing the ball out. And he's not even... I feel like they're not looking to him as the primary ball handler at the start of a possession.
Exactly.
I feel like they'll swing it to him at the end to have the final shot, but they give everybody else a touch first, and I think that keeps the defenders on their toes. I thought they played fantastic this game.
Yeah, well, that's the key, right? So we need to be able... And the ball movement has been great, but we can't just pass every possession, not shoot, right? So DeMar and Lowry thrive in taking their man one-on-one and stuff, and that can be done with a team offense, right? They get the ball swinging, get the defense moving, and then make their drives. And then that's where I think they're getting more comfortable with the new offense. So the culture looked pretty reset tonight, I would like to say.
The culture has been reset?
Has been reset as of November 19th. We'll see if that holds up for the next game against the Knicks. And now on to our last segment. What would you say is the play of the day?
The play of the day. First quarter, for me, you might have a different opinion here. For me, there was an up screen. So DeMar cuts baseline to the wing, and then there's an up screen. So DeMar curls off of that, and it was just a really easy alley-oop from Lowry to DeMar. I've seen that 3 games now this season. They use it every single
well, they used it last game.
Yeah, exactly, and it works. It's smooth.
They used to run that a lot a couple seasons ago. I don't know how long. Get that up screen, and then DeMar gets the lob. I guess they're going back to it. Casey's bringing out the old playbook. That
is my play of the day. What's your play of the day?
My play of the day is probably... That one's up there. Probably the one where... I'm not sure who. There was a lob. Siakam caught a pass in the paint and then threw it up to Bebe. That was a pretty nice play. Yep. You know, big to big. Just a very, very classic, efficient basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, very classic and low-key. And you know what? I'm going to toss you a little segment that I like to call the "Oh geez" and the newbies for that "Oh geez" play of the night.
Okay.
I'm thinking of one in particular, and had it connected, that would have been my play of the day. A full court alley-oop from Lowry to, I believe it was Siakam, hit off the rim, and it looked gorgeous.
That looked awesome. That was some D-Wade to LeBron James stuff right there. That's what it looked like.
ultimately wasn't successful. Could have had 2 points, lost them on the board. Therefore, that's my OGs and newbies play of the day.
Well, I love it. So anyone out there, we're looking for maybe some more encapsulating names for these segments. So if you have any suggestions, hit up at the Raptors Digest on Twitter. But I do like the OGs and the newbies segment. Anyways, thanks for listening. The Raptors had a great game against the Wizards. Hopefully they can keep the momentum going against the Knicks. They play Tuesday, I want to say.
I'm not sure. Either way, we will be there with the post-game analysis.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you guys for listening, and catch you next game.
Cheers.